Hello everyone, and welcome back to Meghan and Harry Tales, your warm and thoughtful space where we bring you the real stories, the heartfelt moments, and the powerful legacy of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. I'm your host, Adrian, and today we're diving into a rather symbolic and significant moment, one that unfolded at the South by South West London Festival, or SXSW London, and quietly reminded the world of the beautiful mark Meghan and Harry have left on the British cultural landscape. Because when King Charles came face to face with the Kingdom Choir, yes, that Kingdom Choir, the same one that brought the world to tears with their soul-stirring performance at Harry and Meghan's royal wedding in 2018, the moment was more than just a royal engagement. It was a powerful echo of the inclusive, modern vision that Meghan and Harry championed, one that, despite challenges, is still very much alive and relevant today. So, let's unpack this moment piece by piece and explore why it speaks volumes, not just about the royals, but about the unshakable legacy that Harry and Meghan continue to inspire, both in the UK and globally. To understand the impact of this moment, let's go back to that iconic day in May 2018, when Meghan Markle and Prince Harry tied the knot at St George's Chapel, Windsor. Unlike any other royal wedding before, theirs broke the mould in ways both beautiful and profound. From the uplifting gospel of the Kingdom Choir performing "Stand By Me" to the moving sermon by Bishop Michael Curry, it was a celebration of love that reflected both Harry and Meghan's shared values: inclusion, diversity and modernity. The Kingdom Choir, led by Karen Gibson, became more than just a musical act that day. They were a symbol of a changing monarchy, of a new era, of a more inclusive and multicultural Britain. So when King Charles encountered this same choir at SXSW London in 2025, it wasn't just a routine royal visit. It was a full-circle moment, a nod to the cultural shift that began with Meghan and Harry's union. And whether or not it was intentional, it reminded us all of the resonance of their vision. Now let's talk about the setting. The King's visit to SXSW London wasn't just a PR engagement. It was a deliberate move to align the monarchy with creativity, innovation and inclusion values that echo the very ones Harry and Meghan have long advocated. Held in Shoreditch, the festival was a vibrant tapestry of art, technology and social change. And who better to open the event than the Kingdom Choir, the very embodiment of cultural richness and creative excellence? But here's the thing. This kind of platform, one that celebrates diverse voices, new ideas and artistic expression, is exactly the kind of space Meghan and Harry have spent the last few years championing, especially in the US through their Archewell Foundation, their documentary work and their relentless support for underrepresented communities. So in a way, the King's visit subtly echoed their work, perhaps more than he even realized. Let's pause for a moment and ask, what does this all mean? Well, to some, it might have seemed like a charming coincidence. But for those of us who have followed Meghan and Harry's journey closely, this moment at Ely's Yard was loaded with symbolism. It's about recognition, about cultural memory, about legacy. The fact that King Charles stood face to face with the very choir that helped Harry and Meghan transform the image of the modern royal family suggests that their impact, despite the headlines, the criticisms, the separations, endures. It reminds us that while Meghan and Harry may no longer be working royals, their influence remains deeply embedded in the cultural consciousness. From the immersive AI art installations to exhibitions celebrating Caribbean artists, SXSW London wasn't just about innovation, it was about representation. And that brings us right back to Meghan and Harry. Because long before SXSW London became a royal talking point, the Sussexes were already out there advocating for creatives of colour, for environmental innovation, and for underrepresented stories. Let's not forget Meghan's work with SmartWorks and Hub Community Kitchen, uplifting women through fashion and food, or Harry's Invictus Games, a life-changing platform for wounded veterans across the globe. Their Netflix docuseries, their Spotify projects, and their philanthropic efforts through Archewell have always centred diverse voices and urgent issues. So when King Charles celebrated Beautiful Collisions, an art exhibit amplifying Caribbean voices, It felt in a quiet way like an acknowledgement of the path Meghan helped carve. Representation isn't just a buzzword, it's about who gets seen, who gets heard, who gets to stand in front of the monarch and say, "This is my culture, this is my story." And back in 2018, Meghan Markle brought that idea into the heart of the monarchy. So when Caribbean artists like Denzel Forrester and Zinzi Minot were showcased this week, artists whose voices might have been overlooked a decade ago, it reflected a broader shift that began with Meghan's arrival on the royal stage. Her presence, her background, and her advocacy opened the door, and now we're seeing more and more people step through it. It's also worth noting how many of the programmes featured at SXSW London mirror the values of the Archewell Foundation. Love the Earth, a children's animated series promoting nature conservation and Indigenous wisdom. That sounds remarkably aligned with Meghan and Harry's climate initiatives and their support for Indigenous communities. Creative Futures, Idris Elba's initiative in partnership with the King's Trust. That's the same Idris Elba who DJ'd at Harry and Meghan's wedding, now working with Charles to empower young creatives much like Archewell does in the US and Mission 44, founded by Lewis Hamilton and focused on uplifting diverse youth. It's cut from the same cloth as the Sussexes' mission to create a fairer, more compassionate world. The threads are there. You just have to look closely. There's this persistent narrative in the press that because Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties, their influence somehow waned. But moments like this, when the very culture they helped elevate is showcased at a royal event, prove the opposite. Their legacy is larger than their titles. It's in the artists being celebrated, the conversations being had, the inclusive programming being embraced, and that's powerful. Because whether or not the palace publicly credits them, the seeds they planted are flourishing. Let's also talk about public perception. While mainstream media outlets often fixate on division, a growing number of people, especially younger generations, see Harry and Meghan as change-makers. And when King Charles is seen supporting multicultural art and inclusive festivals, it reflects a shift in the monarchy's tone, one that many believe was catalysed by the Sussexes' influence. Whether he intended it or not, the King's presence at SSSW London sent a message. Diversity matters, creativity matters, and it just so happens that Harry and Meghan were ahead of the curve on both. From Windsor Castle to the streets of Shoreditch, the journey might seem vast. But the values that started with a royal wedding in 2018 are still reverberating today. The Kingdom Choir wasn't just singing for a monarch. They were reminding everyone of a day when love, unity and inclusion took centre stage. And that more than any headline or royal protocol is the legacy Harry and Meghan gave to the world. As we look toward the future, it's clear that Meghan and Harry's influence isn't fading, it's evolving. Through Archewell, their upcoming Netflix projects, their humanitarian work and their growing global network, they're continuing to lead with compassion and purpose. And back in Britain, even the royal engagements that seem unrelated to them still carry echoes of their ethos. Because once you open the door to change, there's no closing it. They may have left the institution, but they haven't left the conversation. So what did we really witness when King Charles met the Kingdom Choir again? We saw a moment that tied the present to the past. A moment that nodded, however subtly, to the progressive wave Harry and Meghan helped usher in. And while others may try to rewrite or forget that chapter, here at Meghan and Harry Tales, we remember, we see it, we honour it. Because the story of the Sussexes is far from over. Thank you for joining me today. If you found this reflection meaningful, don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video with fellow supporters of Meghan and Harry. And as always, stay kind, stay curious and stay inspired. I'm Adrian, and this has been Meghan and Harry Tales.